Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you. My name is Dr. Ihsan Haque. We're sitting here in the Islamic Society of Akron and Kent, and this is part of the Global Ties Akron Global Education Program, Diversity of Faith module, and we are sitting at the Islamic Society of Akron and Kent. The history of Islamic Faith Tradition in the United States is that Muslims were present in the United States long before Columbus got here. There are native tribes that lived here. You may have heard the tribe of the Mohicans that were in Connecticut area. They actually petitioned the Queen of England because the pilgrims were not keeping up the treaty that they had signed with the Mohicans. So Muslims have been in the United States long before the Europeans got here. In the Akron area, we started in the late 70s, early 80s. Primarily, it was a mosque started by native African American Muslims, and then we were joined by the students from University of Akron and the University of Kent State University. Then after the 1967 war, a bunch of Palestinian refugees also made it to the United States and to Akron. So in the late 70s and the 70s, the community consisted mostly of the African American Muslims, students, some of the engineers and professors and doctors who were working as legal immigrants and students. The Native Americans were about 40%, the 30% were the professionals, and 30 to 40% were the students. Then in the 80s, more and more immigrant students came, as well as more and more immigrant businessmen came, and they joined the community. Today, if we look at the 30 and under population, about 90% of them are born Americans in the US, born in the USA Americans, whereas in the 40 and above population, you will have about 60% immigrants and 40% native African American Muslims. That is the composition of the society at this time. Since the conflict in Iraq and Syria, we've had immigrants from that conflict, and in the 90s, in the conflict in the former Yugoslavia, we've had some Serbs who have also come. Then in the conflict in the Afghan area, Afghanistan in the 70s and early 80s, we have had some Uzbek and some Pathan and Tajik population also. So today we have representations from Africa, namely Sudanese, Algerians, Moroccans, Egyptians, Nigerians, South Africans, Kenyans, and some from Tanzania. Not that many from the west side of Africa, but mostly from the east and north side of Africa. We have people from Middle East, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, the Gulf, and then we have Indo-Pakistan people, and then about 30 to 40, about 35% African American part of this congregation. So that is the current composition of our society. The faith traditions that we normally talk about, if you don't know anything about Islam, there are 5 main pillars of Islam. Islam is the oldest religion in the universe. When Adam and Eve came to this earth, they came as Muslims. When Noah came, he was a Muslim. When Abraham, peace be upon him, came, he was a Muslim. Moses, Jesus, Joseph, Isaiah, all of them are Muslim prophets. When Moses was fighting the pharaohs, the Muslims were siding with Moses and not with Pharaoh. Whether you are Egyptian or not, you are still siding with Moses. So all these prophets that we normally associate with other religions are actually prophets of Islam. And so Islam has 5 basic pillars that are mentioned. 1 is belief in one God. 2 is a prayer to that God, thanking Him for all the goodness and bounties that He has provided and for His mercy unto mankind. The 3rd is the keeping the fast in the month of Ramadan, which is a lunar month, 9th lunar month of the Islamic calendar. And that is a 30-day morning, before sunrise to sunset, fast from food, water, drink, and any of the things that would be considered immoral, illegal, or even ones you want to do behind closed doors. Those things are not to be shied away from. Then the 4th one is giving 2.5% of your net worth in charity every year. The 5th one is pilgrimage to Mecca if you are financially and physically able to do so. If you are not able to do so, then it is not an obligation. It becomes obligated on you only if you have the means and you make the time. Time is not, if you have the means and you are healthy, you are required to do that. You can't say you are busy and not go. That does not absolve you of the responsibility. So those are the very basics of the Islam. But that is merely saying things. That is not the essence of Islam. Essence of Islam is doing the right thing. You should be able to, 1, knowledgeable enough to know right from wrong, and 2, have the courage of your convictions to speak up and then practice the right and tell the other person who is doing the wrong to prevent it by saying so. If cannot do so by saying so, stop him or her. If can't do that, at least know in your own heart that what is being done is wrong. So it is an admonition to each and every Muslim to struggle for the righteousness, because he or she is not guaranteed God's forgiveness or mercy simply because you say something. It is the actions and the intentions that address the results of that particular situation or the action. So it is important to know the right from wrong and then do the right thing and preach that. Sometimes that is considered a jihad or a struggle. That is the true admonition for every Muslim to strive and provide that and live that way. Thank you.